Hey, and welcome to The Office Field Guide. My name's Chris, and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. And today, we're looking at Prince Family Paper.
Here come the sharks!
Prince Family Paper was written by B.J. Novak and directed by Asad Khalida. Khalida was a guest director who had been directing TV for quite some time, having directed several episodes for several different 80s and 90s sitcoms, including 117 episodes of Who's the Boss?
Just show her who's the boss.
Prince Family Paper first aired on January 22nd, 2009, and was viewed by 8.7 million people. It currently has an 8 out of 10 on IMDb. Alright, and your Prince Family Paper trivia is, what side of the argument was Phyllis on?
Who's the gal in question?
Hilary Swank.
Ah, Hilary Swank.
But we're gonna get more into that later. As always, I run comment contests in these videos. Answer the trivia first, spout out the Easter egg, and or leave the best emoji sequence summing up next week's episode, and you'll get your name in that field guide. And be warned, there's gonna be some series spoilers ahead. With that, let's get Darwinian.
I understand nothing.
All right, let's talk about the Prince family first.
There's a small company there, Prince Paper.
Hi, how can I help you?
My name is Michael Scarn.
Up first, Robert Prince Sr. He's portrayed by Dan Desmond, who has had minor roles in a ton of things. Nothing I really connected with at all. Then we have Sharon Blackwood portraying Linda Prince.
You want a picture of me? I would. Could you just stand right over here?
She also has had a lot of minor roles in a lot of things. I did recognize her from Ozark. And then we have Emily Evan Ray as the young Rebecca Prince.
Right. Excellent. Way to go. Nice.
Don't put that.
I knew I recognized her from something, but I just couldn't pin it. She's actually young Kate in the flashback episode of Lost that aired the same year as Prince Family Paper. She also has a younger sister who also acts, and was interestingly in Date Night with Steve Carell a year later. The more you know. And that leads us to Dan Bachendale, who plays Roger Prince Jr.
Why don't you just get rid of this guy?
That's my son.
I'm your son now. You can visit him on holidays.
Bachendale has had several roles over the years, most notably for me, our Space Force with Steve Carell, and the AC repairman Murray in Community. A bit that never gets old to me. And other things of note is that Roger Prince Sr. has a World's Greatest Dad mug, and Jr. has a World's Greatest Son mug.
Okay. Goodbye, Prince family. Should be called the Sucker family.
In a series that's mostly driven by Michael's stupidity,
Is this what I drink out of?
it's actually kind of refreshing to see an episode that's about Michael's morality.
Dwight, what will happen to that family if I call Wallace and give him this information?
For now, I'm just going to talk about a bunch of random stuff I noticed in this episode. If this reference slipped past you, as it did me,
She's a female Boris Becker.
Boris Becker was a German tennis star, and he looks like this.
Yes, she's hot. She's hot as heck. She's a female Boris Becker.
Okay, and I'm going to save the discussion about why they're debating this for the deeper meaning. But for now, hot or not?
It's, is she hot? Not, would you do her? Respect the game.
And look, me, I'm a married man, so every woman on the planet, other than my wife, is no longer hot. Was that how I was supposed to say it, baby? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Really, how do we define hot? My wife's hot. Okay, I will say this. Swank is a little older than me, meaning that when I was a young boy, going to go see The Next Karate Kid, I had a crush on Swank. I was stricken with Swank. Kidding aside, she is an immensely talented actress with quite a range and dedication to her roles. When asked about how she felt about this episode and their discussion, she's been gracious and humble about the whole argument, but used it as a chance to discuss some more problems that women face in Hollywood. And to ignore all of that and completely boil a human down to one subjective aspect, I asked a community poll earlier this week, hot or not. The results are in. And so boom. Definitive.
Because if you were saying that Hilary Swank isn't hot, then you're saying I'm not hot, because obviously I'm not as hot as Hilary Swank.
But if you didn't get a chance to participate in that poll, feel free to fight it out in the comments.
Ridiculous.
That's the thing about debating. People just get entrenched in the view they had in the first place.
I always love that Michael obliviously settles this argument for them.
What is this?
Hilary Swank.
Oh, she's hot.
Makushla. He's watching $1 Million Baby.
But why don't they ask Dwight? But with that, let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Cap.
Okay, let's start by taking it back a bit.
A long, long time ago, the Earth was ruled by dinosaurs.
Okay, that might be too far, but maybe not. We are going to talk about Darwinism, though. It's based on this idea that species evolve to survive and thrive within their specific environments. A lot of this was gathered from how animals, isolated for generations, take on traits over time that benefit them in their environment. And these are traits that similar species in other parts of the world just don't have. And we call this the survival of the fittest. And this process of species taking on new traits doesn't just happen magically. It's based on mutations that end up benefiting the species in the long run. Often these traits that benefit the species the most are those who end up bumping the species up in the food chain. But this theory of evolution can also account for features that a species can consider attractive for mating.
Is she hot?
So this episode is maybe the most BJ Novak-iest episode that's ever episoded. Take a concept like, let's have Michael do some corporate espionage and turn the whole thing into social commentary. It's pretty great. It's what BJ Novak does. So Prince Family Paper then addresses the Darwinistic nature of capitalism, which is an economic system of private ownership of businesses for the means of gaining that sweet, sweet cash.
Better look out, someone might run you out of business.
Well, I sure hope not.
While heralded by some,
Yeah, save your heart for love and use your brain for business.
critics of capitalism see some inherent flaws in what the system does to the human beings behind the business. Okay, the metaphor here is as Michael explains.
And the little shark eats the littler shark, and so on and so on and so on, until you get down to the single cell shark.
Okay, so basically the criticism is to be successful in capitalism means that you have to forsake personal attachments and what some would consider common decency in order to get ahead.
No! I can't let you do this!
Those people will be ruined!
No, it's business, it's not personal!
And man, when have we heard that before?
It wasn't personal.
Business is always personal. It's the most personal thing in the world.
And here's what a season and a half of Michael getting kicked in the junk repeatedly brought him to.
Business is a dog-eat-dog world, and I am a shark who eats dog-eat-dogs.
Losing sight that he was always above that dog-eat-dog world. That's always what separated Michael in the past. But now, in an effort to get ahead in a company that he's relatively disillusioned with, he stoops to running a small family-run company out of business, which he does.
Hi, you've reached Prince Paper. We are sad to inform you that after 40 years of serving the community, we are no longer in business.
Dwight and Wallace then represent the opposite side of this argument, which would suggest that this is just the natural order of things, that the weak fall behind and the strong succeed.
If we don't do this to Prince Paper, then someone else will.
Michael failing to take a stand earlier and failing to prevent Dwight from succeeding, in essence, demonstrates this entire point.
It's over, Michael! It's over!
And in a world of corporations who are becoming larger and larger with more and more power, all while slinging corporate mantras like "don't be evil," capitalism has no shortage of human victims. It's all fine and dandy, I guess, until you're no longer at the top of the food chain.
The company has a buyer. The board will have no choice but to approve, and they are going to clean house.
Can Alan protect you?
Alan will be out too, all of us.
Okay, so what's the point of the Swank bit? Barring an interesting psychological look at groupthink, as I said before, certain species gain evolutionary advantages based on their ability to flaunt their goodies effectively.
Coinophilia.
So how do we, humans, stuck in these drab, dreary offices all day, perceive these attractive qualities?
A painting can be beautiful, but I don't want to bang a painting.
What makes for a good mate?
I kept expecting a second plot twist where we found out that Hilary Swank actually was a boy.
Kevin.
What's the definition of hot?
What difference does it make? Attractive, hot, beautiful, we're talking about the same thing here.
Hot is a temperature, people.
These are all questions that a sociologist or a psychologist or someone smarter than me would have to answer. I don't really know. But what I can see in this episode is that if we're not careful, we lose sight of the humans behind these debates. See Jim's point.
I think all of us have a tendency to view celebrities as sort of mythical figures. You know, we don't really see them as real, so therefore we don't judge them as real people.
So I'm going with the message here is don't lose sight of the human. Whether we're debating something on the internet,
He is but.
whether we're considering our next business move, whether it's how we treat some rando on the street, don't forget that there's a human being behind who you're talking to or about.
It's me, Aaron.
Which is why I cringed at putting up this poll. But right, let's clear this up too. I'm not a socialist.
Socialist? I don't want to get into this debate again.
Guys, if the perfect system existed, we'd probably have figured it out by now. But in the meantime, while we give the smart people time to figure it out, let's just be decent to one another. Also, I really do like IHOP.
Okay. I enjoy IHOP.
I'll have a cup of coffee.
You will have pancakes and you'll like it.
For now, let's just rate this thing.
This is the worst.
Okay, this is a weird episode for me, guys. Let me just talk you through to get my bearing. The cold opening is unrelated to the episode, but it does feature a great Jim Dwight prank. On the other hand, Jim's obviously in front of a green screen window and it takes me out of the experience. You guys know I'm a sucker for Jim Dwight pranks, but I'm just giving this one a 3 out of 5. It's fine. As for this episode, I struggled with this one. A lot of Novak's episodes are intended to be social commentary with the likes of Diversity Day, sexual harassment, boys and girls, and safety training.
Dwight, you ignorant slut!
Reading what critics had to say at the time of this episode, some praised the Swank argument and hated the Prince plotline. Some said the exact opposite. This episode, in fact, is tied for one of the lowest rated episodes of season 5, along with Baby Shower and The Blood Drive. I think a lot of people didn't like this episode because it had nothing to do with the ongoing plot lines in the series. But I'm gonna be honest with you, that was really refreshing to me, especially when analyzing the deeper meaning. And there are elements of genius in this episode. Stanley's monologue is one such moment, beautifully written and beautifully acted.
Come on, people. She is hot.
If I were still giving out Dundies, Stanley would get one. Even Krasinski cannot keep it straight, and they left it in the episode.
Would have found something to complain about with this actress.
This entire argument feels like exactly something that would happen in real life. Having said all of that, this episode feels like the equivalent of a rainy day when I'm just stuck in the office. In spite of all the performances, the physicality, the moral dilemma, it just feels like a miss. So I am gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
Oh, all right.
But that's just what I think about Prince Family Paper. What are your thoughts? I want to hear from you in the comments. Don't forget about the comment contest, including the emoji sequence for next week's episode, which is stress relief.
The city.
Don't forget, if you want to get your mini review in for that episode, hop on over to the Patreon page and become a member of Kevin and the Zits or join the Inner Circle. Both of those tiers let you submit a mini review for that episode. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.